Welcome to Fret Fables and the free guitar course. Music is the constant companion we have through life. In this course, we're going to touch on just the basics to get you up and going and get you excited about playing this magnificent instrument. Music is the constant companion we have through life. It's been there when we're sad, it's celebrated with us when we're happy. And now we're just going to go over the basics of the guitar so you get an idea of what we're dealing with. Okay, now you may have a guitar at home, you may be wanting to purchase a guitar. We're going to touch on some of these things through the course, so to give you some sort of idea of where we're at. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is actually introduce you to the guitar. This is an Ibanez nylon string. This is the body of the guitar, so this is known as the body. This is the sound hole. This is what projects the sound. We've got the bridge here, which connects the strings on one end of the guitar. We have the fretboard. Now these little metal bars here are called frets, and you'll see on the end of that there are actually dots on the actual fretboard, and they signify different frets to allow you to, when you're starting out, understand where you are on the fretboard, because the notes go from lower notes at the top here at the nut, which is this piece here, down here they go up in pitch by semitones. Now we'll get into that as we go. I'm just feeding in bits of information, so when you actually get to the part where we're talking about semitones and scales, you've already heard about it. It's not something foreign to you. Okay, up here we've got the machine head and the tuners. Okay, so some of the accessories that we want to look at is, the first one is a tuner. We can use this. I mean, electric tuners are great now. You can use tuning pegs, pitch pipes. There are things like pitch pipes that you can actually use as well. But a good tuner like this will cost $5, maybe $10. You can get some really flashbang ones for $30, $40. But there are some in the description for you to have a look at and see if you want to purchase any of them. The strings themselves, look, really at this stage of the game, strings are strings. You can get lost in the actual details of all the different types of strings, different gauges, different materials. These are nylon string guitars. So the bottom three strings are basically very heavy fishing line, just nylon string. And the upper strings are metal wound around a piece of nylon itself. Okay, so the guitar itself is an instrument, a string instrument, but it's also more than a string instrument, and we'll get into that a little bit further. We also have a thing called a truss rod. Now the truss rod goes up through the middle of the neck here, and that gives the guitar a little bit of a scooping, sort of the fretboard, a little bit of a scoop that allows all the notes to be played without rubbing against any of the frets. Because the angle, if you look at, you might not be able to see it very well, but there's an actual gap between the fretboard and the strings, and that angle between the bridge and the headstock here, the nut, allows you to play the strings. Okay, now if the fretboard was dead straight, when you actually press down on the note, it would buzz, right? It doesn't buzz because there's a slight curve in the actual fretboard. Not really that important, but just so you understand how it works. Okay, so that's the guitars. The strings on the guitar, when you're tuning the guitar, you have set notes for each of the open strings. Okay, these notes, when you're tuning it, this is something that I don't see in many other instruction videos for some reason, I'm not sure why, is that you should always tune below the note and then tune up to the note. Okay, not down to the note, because there's going to be play in these strings. Okay, you might have to strum the guitar a few times when you restring it, or you get a new guitar, you might have to tune it several times over before the strings hold their place. Okay, and hold the note. But when you're tuning, you should, if the guitar is tuned high, like if you're on an E note, and the E string, which is this fat one at the bottom, the big one there, that's an E note. If it's actually flat, you can tune up to E. If it's sharp, so it's like an F or F sharp, you should tune below the E, so E flat or D, and then tune slowly up to the note. That'll hold the note better than tuning down, because when you tune down, the strings need to settle and set into the actual nut. And you could actually find, if you're tuning from high to low, the strings will continuously go out of tune. Okay, so try to get into the habit of tuning low to high. Okay. So now with the fretboard, when we're actually playing notes on the fretboard, one thing that a lot of beginners get, and they get sore hands because of this. Don't know why. Well, I do know why, but I'm going to explain to you things that you can do to avoid that going forward. Okay. A lot of people squeeze the neck. They try to press really hard. Now, what I want you to do is think about the fretboard. When you're pressing on the fretboard, all you need to do is press hard enough to make the note sound. Okay, the harder you press, if you press the string just enough to make the note sound, it's just the same as if you squeeze the note really hard. Okay, so if I just play this note here, right? This is the D note, so you can hear there's no, it's not sounding. And as I start to press, there, I'm barely pressing that note, right? Barely putting any pressure on it. Look, see my hand? I'm not even gripping that's barely any pressure there. But some people will actually squeeze it. There's no difference. No difference. So just learn from the start to press the string just hard enough to get the note to sound. Okay? Now, when you're playing more complex notes like bar chords, right? You can actually hang, instead of trying to squeeze the fretboard, use the weight of your arm. Let your arm hang off the fretboard. The weight of your arm will help you sound that note, sound that chord, right? I'm barely putting any pressure on that with my hand. It's more weight from my arm, just hanging from there. That's a great key, okay? So with regard to that, get yourself a tuner. Another thing you may want to look at getting, which will help you change the keys of songs that you're playing in further down the track, is a thing called a capo. Now, a capo actually helps you change the pitch of the notes that you're playing, okay? So wherever you place it, it replaces the function of the nut, okay? So all these notes here will be different to the notes in the nut by whole tone, okay? So that's another thing that you may want to look at, all right? That's a good thing. Plectrums, I don't use plectrums. I use my hand. I'm a finger picker, but you can use plectrums. I just find it easier for myself to use my hand. Basically there I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plectrums there instead of just one. Now as you progress and you learn electric guitar and things like that, and you might want to start learning how to shred, like play really quickly, it is probably a good idea to learn how to use the plectrum properly. But at the moment, I just want to make sure that you understand that all you really need is a guitar with strings on it, and you can actually entertain people, entertain yourself, and have some more fun. The one thing I do want to cover here is that the guitar, a lot of people call it a string instrument. It is technically a string instrument because it's got strings on it, but it's a percussive instrument. It's an orchestra in your arms, okay? It has bass lines, you know. You got your bass notes. You got your violins, your high pitched things. You've got percussion, so you can actually do, knock on it. You've got all different sounds that you can use on this instrument to make it basically a 6-string orchestra. That's one way I used to phrase it too. You could use it as a 6-string orchestra, so so you can do all sorts of things with it. Strum, beats. You can use it as a drum. It's a great instrument to learn, and the more you learn, the better you get at it. The more fun you'll have exploring your creativity, entertaining yourself, or even just being able to pick up a guitar somewhere and have some fun at a party. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you for tuning in to Fret Fables. Well, just leave a like or a comment in the comments. Also, just subscribe to the channel to see the Fret Fables song exploration, where I look at songs, have a look at their lyrical content and their history and what drove the artist to write that particular song. So until next time, Tunnies, keep playing and pursue that creative spark within you.